Every now and then, the news does not come in loud. It hits like pressure right in the chest of the faithful. Because San Francisco is staring at 2026 with 4 signs that touch the future: the roster, protection, defense, and even the pecking order inside the locker room. There is a promise trying to turn into a star, a trench monster suddenly showing up on the radar, a serious question on the offensive line, and a quarterback conversation nobody wants to feed, but nobody can fully ignore either. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come with me, because this is not routine. This is a title window demanding answers. The first story hits that exact nerve for this fan base. The player who has already flashed, but still has to prove he can deliver it across a full season. Ricky Pearsall is on Sports Illustrated's radar as the 49ers player most likely to break out in 2026. And honestly, it is easy to understand why. Eva Geithheim pointed out that he was tracking toward a big year before the mid-season PCL injury. That is not empty hype. Through the first 3 weeks, he was among the league leaders in receiving production, with 2 games over 100 yards. In a Kyle Shanahan offense, that flips on a huge light. But this is where the pressure tightens. San Francisco cannot keep living off pretty samples forever. Pearsall finished his second year with 36 catches, 528 yards, and no touchdowns in 9 games, which was actually below his rookie year production. At the same time, his 14.7 yards per catch proves there is real explosiveness in his game. When healthy, he does not look like just another rotational receiver. He looks like someone who can change the angle of a defense, attack space, turn a short catch into a big gain, and give this offense the vertical threat this group badly needs. That is where the story becomes bigger than Pearsall himself. The 49ers added Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, and rookie Dejon Stribling. So nobody is just handing him targets as a gift. He has to earn snaps, trust, progressions, and the football. But if there is one coach who understands how to manufacture separation, disguise intent, and put a receiver in the right spot, it is Shanahan. The list goes from Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson all the way to elite names like Julio Jones and George Kittle. The system helps, but it does not carry a player alone. Pearsall has to stay on the field. For the faithful, that is the pain and the hope sitting right next to each other. At 24 years old, he is reaching the point where promise has to start becoming an answer. If his body holds up, and if he turns those first 3 weeks into a real pattern, San Francisco may find an impact weapon already inside its own building. If not, the conversation shifts quickly, because a first-round pick cannot live forever on potential. The talent is there. The window is there too. What is missing now is continuity. The second story changes the whole temperature. The first one was about betting on growth from an internal piece. This one moves into a possibility that touches the physical DNA of a defense. Vita Vea is in a contract-related hold-in with Tampa Bay. He reported to mandatory minicamp, but he is not taking part in on-field work. He is entering the final year of his 4-year, $71 million contract, with $17 million in base salary scheduled for 2026, no guaranteed money left, a $22.19 million cap hit, and a path to free agency in 2027. When a player that massive enters that kind of situation, serious franchises pay attention. And the 49ers have every reason to watch it closely, because Vea is not just another tackle taking up space in the middle. We are talking about 6'4", 347 pounds, a 2-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, and one of those rare interior defenders who makes the opposing offensive line feel like the center of the play is about to disappear. In 2025, he played all 17 games, had 33 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and reached 35 career sacks across 112 regular season games. For a nose tackle, that already grabs your attention. But his impact does not fit neatly inside the stat sheet. What Vea does is make life uncomfortable for everybody on the other side. He eats double teams, pushes the pocket backward from the inside, shuts down running lanes, and forces quarterbacks to move before they want to. For San Francisco, that speaks directly to the identity this defense needs to fully reclaim. Nick Bosa and the edge rushers become much more dangerous when the middle of the pocket gives quarterbacks no safe place to hide. Outside pressure scares people. Outside pressure with interior collapse suffocates people. The advanced numbers back up that read. Pro Football Focus gave Vea a 77.0 pass rush grade in 2025, 12th among 134 qualified interior defenders. He generated 51 total pressures, with 39 hurries and 8 quarterback hits. That is coming from a player who also has to anchor against the run. So it is not just size, it is strength with production. It is mass with real effect. The question in the Bay Area is not whether he would help, Of course he would. The question is how far the 49ers would be willing to go if that situation in Tampa Bay started opening a bigger door. Because Vea has age, contract, cost, and context attached to him. But he also has something every team with January ambition searches for: the ability to change a defensive front on the very first snap. And when the title window is open, the difference between a good defense and a feared defense sometimes lives right in the middle of the line. Then comes the story that may not sound like the loudest one of the day, but it reaches straight into the survival of the offense. The left side of the 49ers offensive line still carries an open question for 2026. Who takes over at left guard? That is not some tiny technical detail to bury at the bottom of the roster. In San Francisco, if the line does not support the run game, protect the quarterback, and give Shanahan time to build the layers of the offense, everything else starts getting heavier. The names are on the table. Connor Colby, going into year 2. Carver Willis, a rookie with a developmental profile. And Robert Jones, the veteran signed in free agency after a wiped-out 2025 season in Dallas because of a neck fracture. Jones arrived on a one-year deal that can reach $1.75 million, with $1.64 million guaranteed. That basically gives the veteran a real path to be on the 53-man roster in Week 1. But the most interesting part may not be simply asking who wins the job. Maybe the answer is more split, more careful, and more like something the 49ers have already done before. In 2023, the team used a kind of rotation between Spencer Burford and John Feliciano. Feliciano had his controversial moments, including publicly calling out Burford after a missed block in the Super Bowl. But the idea of alternating a young player with a veteran is not foreign to this staff. And Jones fits that logic. Before Dallas, he spent 4 years in Miami, learning a blocking system similar to San Francisco's under Mike McDaniel. That matters. He is not a veteran walking into a totally new language. At the same time, Willis looks like a long-term bet, but throwing a rookie straight into the fire can come with a real price. So maybe the smartest plan is to protect both of them. Jones brings experience, size, and familiarity. Willis gets a gradual runway without having to carry the entire responsibility from the very first snap. Faithful, drop it in the comments. Would you rather see one clear starter named early, or a controlled rotation until someone takes the job for good? Because this decision may not show up on the September scoreboard, but it can matter a lot when January arrives. And then we get to the story that probably makes a lot of people uncomfortable, because nobody in San Francisco wants to live through another quarterback saga. But it is also impossible to act like Mac Jones is just a normal backup. Early in the offseason, it seemed reasonable to think the 49ers might trade him. He showed last season that he can still run an offense, the team already has Brock Purdy, and draft capital always matters for a franchise trying to fine-tune a championship roster. But the market did not move the way a lot of people expected. Part of that may be tied to the 49ers' asking price, because they apparently were not treating Jones like a disposable piece. And honestly, that makes sense. This franchise has learned in the most painful way possible that QB2 is not a luxury. In San Francisco, depth at that position can be the difference between a season surviving or falling apart. The emotional detail is that Jones seems to have rediscovered some joy playing football there. He has talked about how coming to the 49ers helped him have fun again, and his body language last year showed it. Lighter, more smiling, more comfortable. But there is a hidden layer to this story. Maybe he is not content only because he likes the environment. Maybe, somewhere in his mind, there is a belief that a path still exists for him to become the guy. Sound extreme? Maybe. But be honest, for half of last season, there was heated debate about Jones being on the same level as Purdy, or even playing better in certain stretches. Once Purdy came back from the toe injury and stacked some strong performances, the noise faded. But it did not disappear. It just started waiting for an opening. Picture the scenario nobody wants to see. Purdy goes down early, misses the season. Jones steps in, plays well again, and takes the 49ers to the playoffs. Maybe he wins a wildcard game. Maybe he stops in the divisional round. What would the franchise do after that? If Purdy missed basically an entire year, the durability questions would get louder. And if Jones proved again that he works in Shanahan's offense, letting him walk in free agency would be extremely difficult. The problem is simple and heavy. Jones probably would not stay just to be a backup if he had just led a meaningful campaign. That is how the dilemma San Francisco desperately wants to avoid is born. Stick with Purdy? Keep Jones? Listen to offers? Open up a real competition. Right now, a healthy and productive Purdy is the starter. That is the natural line. But Mac Jones being on the roster creates a competitive shadow that only needs one bad stretch or one injury to become a national conversation again. And for a team that needs to finish the job, the last thing it wants is a crisis at the most important position on the field. Put all four stories together, and the same demand keeps showing up. The 49ers do not just need talent, they need reliable answers. Pearsall can become an explosive weapon, but he has to stay healthy. Vea would be a massive force in the middle of the defense if that opportunity really develops. Left guard may require patience, rotation, and cold judgment. And Mac Jones is a reminder that quarterback stability can never be treated like a minor detail in San Francisco. This season is going to demand ambition, depth, and courage. If you follow the faithful every day, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment which one of these stories changes the Niners' future the most.